Crashes, flying parts, loose drain holes, penalties, safety cars, and a lot of chaos. The Las Vegas Grand Prix had it all. It certainly provided us with some good racing moves, but at what cost? Was the Las Vegas Grand Prix worth it? And what did the drivers have to say about the total chaos on track? Stick around to find out what exactly happened during the chaos-filled Las Vegas Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen, Russell, and Charles Leclerc all played their parts. Max started the Las Vegas Grand Prix by driving his Red Bull car down the inside of Charles Leclerc into the slow turn 1 left corner. Both drivers hit their brakes as late as they could, and Max took Charles with him just over the track's line. Max grabbed the lead, but the race judges had a different plan and immediately handed out their punishment of choice in 2023, a 5-second time penalty to be served at Max's next pit stop. While Max was initially upset with the penalty, after talking about the race and discussing with Charles, he took full responsibility. The start was good, then we both brake quite late to defend the position, but I was on the inside on the dirt, I guess. Verstappen said after the race, "As soon as you're a bit off the racing line here, it's just super low grip. I brake and there was no grip. I didn't mean to push Charles off the track, but I couldn't slow down. I just kept sliding on 4 wheels wide. That's why we had to go wide at the time." You're also full of adrenaline, and I was not happy with the decision, but looking back at it, it was probably right call. And after that, with that 5-sec penalty, it was definitely a bit harder to come back to the front. Charles felt that it was fair, but he thinks there is a better way to punish drivers. Max already came to me and explained to me the situation. Leclerc said it was on the limit, over the limit, and I think the 5-second penalty has deserved it. Was tight. I still tried to push off track, but it was so low grip to try and keep that position. But it's way it is. Then he has been penalized. He paid the penalty, and that was the right penalty to give. It's like this in those kinds of situations. It will be better for the FIA to ask to give the place back, because there's quite a bit of an advantage to take care of tires when you have free air, but it's way it is. Max didn't understand the point of Charles's idea of a hand position back order. When asked about it, we chose to just stay ahead rather than hand the position back, Max said. Then you take the 5-second penalty. I don't know what's better in the end. I mean, I paid the penalty, so it doesn't matter in a way. If you go back behind, you probably also end up losing whatever 5 seconds. It's pretty similar in the end, but this wasn't. All this was just some of the chaos on lap 1. Later in the race, Max would again be the center of another investigation, adding to the chaos. This time he ended up in a crash with Russell. During this crash, George Russell just didn't see Max Verstappen into turn 12, didn't think he'd be there on his inside, not on that part of the track, just before the long DRS straight, and so got a nasty surprise as he turned in and felt the bump of his Mercedes front left hitting the Red Bull's front wing. It lost Russell a podium spot, but it was much more than that. It completely changed the race, turning it from what was looking up to be a Charles Leclerc victory into yet another win for Max, thus completing the total chaos. That turning point when the race changed from what it was supposed to be just added to the excitement and drama, making it a stunning sports event as F1 would have wanted it to be. Russell-Max crash was ironically Max's lucky break, as the safety car came out to remove the debris. He swapped some front wing end plate damage for a far more powerful combination of track position and tires, giving him the opportunity to fight for the win. On the other hand, during that safety car period, it was difficult for Charles and the Ferrari pit crew, for Max's rival during the race, to know what the proper call would be at the time of the incident. He was third behind Perez and Lance Stroll's Aston Martin, which had jumped from 19th to 9th on soft tires on the first lap, then pitted under the virtual safety car to get rid of them, and then moved up the order as others completed their stops without getting a gap on him. If Charles had pitted, he would have been third with those ahead also on new tires. His tires were just 5 laps old. If he stayed out, he'd definitely take the lead. Thus, he stayed out in hindsight. Ferrari should have pitted because it had now handed Max a 5-lap tire advantage, and the safety car had decreased the lead Charles had driven well and would do so for the rest of the race. In lap 32, he was passed by Perez using DRS, but a few laps later he performed a fantastic counterpass, taking advantage of Perez's attempt to give Charles DRS in order to keep Max behind. Carlos Sainz style Perez was unable to stop teammate Max from overtaking because of his larger wing. Even with the super low Monaco-style wing Charles was running, he couldn't keep up with Max with DRS, who took the lead with 12 laps remaining. Charles's locked break into turn 14 put Perez back in front, but Charles made up with a well-planned full battery attack on the last lap. It showed us that the way the pit stop timings worked with the random timing of the safety cars determined not only the winner, but pretty much everyone else's race as well, giving us a race of pure chaos. Really poor grip of the surface, especially at the start, is traced back to the beginning of the sequence of the 2 important safety cars. That's why Alonso spun in the pack at turn 1, causing chaos, and a virtual safety car placing Perez in the pits for a new nose and rejoining last, but with the virtual safety car holding up the group enough for him to rejoin on its tail rather than 20 seconds back. The stop had enabled him to go directly onto the hard tire which the Red Bull wanted. He had the perfect mix of a higher track position and new tires when the second safety car gave him another cheap stop and a second set of hard tires as a result. The stage was set for the Czech driver to perform at his peak. Alas, Slovakia 2020, the Alonso-caused virtual safety car also reduced everyone's tire temperatures and pressures while keeping a high fuel load. This combination led Norris's McLaren to scrape the ground while racing into the kink of turn 11, and a really massive crash happened with much of the energy used scraping along the walls before reaching the turn 12 escape route, resulting in a safety car those who had pitted before. The second safety car had their races ruined by the timings. Gasly, Alex Albon and Logan Sargent were forced to run impossibly long second stints and burned out the tires, dropping them down the order when Piastri was forced to pit on lap 16 to a flat tire caused by rubbing wheels with Hamilton. McLaren moved him to a two-stop strategy. He was given a new set of hard tires when he was forced to stop for the second tire compound. He could never establish a gap above the field to drop into because of the safety cars. Hamilton had also been given a flat tire by the Piastri contact but only realized it after passing by the pit lane, costing him a lot of time and putting him near the back from where he recovered to 8th, 7th. After Russell's penalty just behind Sainz, who had his own fair share of chaos this weekend. Sainz had a rough weekend in Las Vegas, as he was forced to pay a grid penalty for changing a control electronics unit after his power unit was damaged during free practice 1 by a loose drain cover. Obviously, I'm regretting not being able to be up there fighting for the win. Sainz stated it looked like this weekend the car was at least able to do a podium. It would have been a fun race, but the loose valve wasn't the only thing that annoyed Sainz. He feels the oil splashed on the track by a parade lap car is to blame for the chaos on lap 1 of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. I saw a lot of oil from the cars that we used to do a driver's parade, which is another thing for the FIA to look at. Sainz told media it is not fair that all the oil was on the inside line with the dirty track already being there. And on top of that, we put cars that are leaking oil into the track 1 hour before the race. It's unacceptable, and it probably caused a lot of the crashes into turn. Onesso, what are your thoughts on the Las Vegas Grand Prix and especially on the chaos during the weekend? Did it live up to the hype or was it just too much for you? Let us know in the comments.